Hey everyone, happy Friday. I'm super excited because we get a long weekend due to July 4th. And I want to welcome everybody here to another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. If you are here joining us live, please put your name and where you're coming in from in the comments section. Also, during the conversation, don't be afraid to ask questions. We do kind of have to streamline this whole process though, because Haley has to work. And I'm really glad that she was able to come on right before she has to go to work. So we're going to try to get through the questions as quickly as possible. But Haley, thank you for joining us. I'm super excited to have you on because
Thank you for having me.
You're a high school student and you are
Mm-hmm.
taking college level courses at Central Virginia Community College. And Danny Murphy
Yes.
is the one that connected us. So very
Mm-hmm.
excited that you weren't nervous to come on. But we do have a couple people already on. We have Marcy, and then
Mm-hmm.
we have David Turner from Kentucky. So thank you guys for joining
Cool.
us. And we have Danny. Hey, Danny.
Woo!
Thanks for the introduction. But can you tell us a little bit more about yourself before we dive into the other questions? Like, what was your inspiration for wanting to pursue engineering in school, and what are some of the things that you're doing now with that interest?
So I grew up kind of just really with a math brain. In order for things to make sense to me, I really just had to put them into math in my thoughts. So and math was my strongest subject in school. So when I heard about the STEM program, I work really well hands-on as opposed to anything else. So I knew engineering was kind of in my field. And when I heard about the STEM Academy at CVCC, my mom told me about it, and I felt like it was right for me.
How did your mom know about it?
She teaches psychology at CVCC.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're how does your high school kind of promote some of those opportunities to the students? Are they good at doing that sort of thing? Because when I went to high school, I had no idea what the hell technical writing was, and they always told me I needed to be an English teacher or a college professor. So I'm just curious as to like what are some of the things your high school's even doing to get people interested in engineering and manufacturing?
Mm-hmm. My high school was actually pretty bad at advertising. I did not hear about the STEM Academy at all through EC class. I only heard about it from my mom since she worked there, and knew that I liked math and science a lot. So they could be a lot better about it. And I've talked with some of the counselors about putting that opportunity out there. And I try to tell a lot of people about the STEM Academy because it worked really great for me. And it's very easy to adapt to if you like science and math. So
So when you're in high school, are you able to like leave that campus and then go to CVCC to like
I
that
go to
fits within your
CVCC. It does fit well with my schedule. I go to CVCC first, um, from 8 to 11, and then I go to my high school. This year I'll just be going for German because I'll be taking college English and history as well this year.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. You're going to be a senior
Thank
this year,
you.
correct?
Yes, that's correct.
That's exciting. I was super excited when I had to get out of high school because I did not
Hmm.
like it. But I do want to bring up some more comments. We have Naomi.
Hmm.
Thank you, Naomi, for joining us. She's a super cool girl. I met her in Detroit. Love your
Awesome.
vibe, Naomi. We also have Hank. He has two daughters that watch every Friday as much
Oh,
as they
cool.
can. They are called he calls them the junior board of directors. So they get if they hear about something that they like on Mavens, they'll ask him if he can teach them it. And they're
Oh,
super cute kids. And then Danny's
awesome.
saying hi. And then hello from Florida. How are people watching on LinkedIn? I can't find it there. Go to my profile on LinkedIn, Meaghan Ziemba, and it should be in my header image. If not, just go to YouTube. It's fine. And then we have Michael. Hello. And then
Hey,
we also have Javi. Very cool interview. Thank you, Javi. I'm
hi.
appreciating
Thank
that.
you.
So what are some of the things that you are specifically learning about in CVCC? Like what types of engineering? Are you doing anything with robotics or automation? Like what's your
Mhm.
specialty or your niche market?
So my first semester with Miss Marcy Gale was working a lot with 3D modeling and learning about the design process. It was introduction to engineering design. So that was really what we focused on, was the process before you create something. which I really enjoyed. I loved 3D modeling using Fusion 360. And in my second semester with Mr. Murphy, we first went over simple machines, so like pulleys, levers, all of that, and the math for AMA, IMA, mechanical advantage, all of that. And then we moved into Vex robotics, which I really enjoyed. I love coding, so I really had a lot of fun with that. We coded Vex robots and built them as well, Vex speedbots, and we programmed them to do specific tasks. Like someone programmed them to deliver pizza or detect certain colors and knock them down like Jenga blocks. And yeah, so there's a lot of coding and robotics and working with gears and all kinds of things, and just building to kind of understand that a lot better.
That's really cool. So how many girls are in your classes? Like what did you notice right off the bat in terms of like boys and girls attending these classes?
So we do have, although we have more girls than we used to, I believe, it's not even. And in my past 2 engineering classes, we were merged with the biohealth students, which has a lot more women in it. I think in terms of women on the engineering track for CVCC, I think it might just be me and one other girl. And I think there are 9 guys. I think it might be more, and there might be another girl, but I know it's very few.
And when we discussed before, you were talking about a mentorship group that you were part of, and you said there were a lot more guys involved in that, and then there was only 3 girls, and one of them was one of the mentors, and she kind of was a little shy or timid.
Yeah.
So why do you think that is? Where do you think, as a sector, where do you think we're failing in terms? Because like I agree with you. High schools need to do a lot better marketing some of these opportunities, but I don't think it's completely their fault, because I think depending on where you are, you know, manufacturers need to have a good relationship with high schools and other businesses within their communities if they want to educate, you know, everybody about what's available and what's offered. So what are some of your opinions about that? Like where do you think we can do a better job in terms of getting this information in front of people like yourself?
I think there's a big issue with fear amongst women and girls because of the things we face from men a lot of the time. Like I luckily I grew up in an area that's very conservative. So, but I grew up with a family that is not. So that was pretty easy to get around of. I didn't feel contained to the ideas of what women are supposed to be. I didn't feel like I needed to be a housewife or anything like that. But in the city,
which there's nothing wrong with housewives.
Oh no, nothing at all. Yeah, no, that's a great. I would love that life, but I did grow up in an area where the traditional ideas of women are very enforced. It's very outward and very outlandish to see a woman not in a position, like to see a female engineer. Like most of the women I've met, thankfully I had Marcy Gale as my teacher, which was I really enjoyed having that, and it really made me feel like I could do something in the field. Having a teacher who was successful in the field of engineering and who was a woman. But we definitely do have an issue with being afraid of like men just kind of putting themselves in our faces as if they know more than us. Like I had a few times classmates where we would be working on a project together and it would be just me and a group of guys, and I would just feel like super dumb because it's like everything was being worded right back to me, and I'd be like, no, we really need to do this. They're like, no, that's not the right thing, and then we mess up the project. It's like, I told you, but
you should have listened to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I think in terms of advertising, just showing more female leaders in scientific fields and STEM fields would help.
I think that's key too, and I think there's a lot of companies doing a better job at that. There was a female astronaut. I don't know if that's the right term anymore, but she was just featured on a bunch of magazines because she was actually the first Latino woman to go up in space and stuff, and she's an aerospace engineer, and I just keep seeing her all over. Really? I'd be so scared.
I would love. Aerospace engineering is my main goal. I would love to be a physicist and do physics research for space and for exploration of the sea as well.
Do you
But
want to actually go up in space? I'd be too scared.
I don't think so. But I'd love to
I
build
would
the
be
things
scared.
that help people get there.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm actually going skydiving again, and
Oh
I went
gosh.
before. I went once before, but I'm going again July 8th, and I'm still kind of nervous about it because I'm
Hmm.
afraid of heights, but it's super fun. But
Well,
going
you'll.
in outer space, I don't think I could do that. But I
Mm-mm.
do want to pull up some more comments. We already
Hmm.
brought up hobby. Diana said she loves science too. That's awesome.
Woo!
I love it. I'm just not good at it. Like I suck at
I
it.
love
But
I love science because it's mostly math. So
see,
mhm.
maybe that's why I'm not good at it because I'm horrible at math.
I love
But I
math.
still love it. I'm still good at it, but I mean, I
Uh-huh.
still love it. And then we have Vince on here, and then Amos said, "Found it. Good. I'm glad you found it." Jamie, fantastic. Wonderful to hear you're doing so well as coaching the counselors to do better for others. I think
Thank
that's
you.
key too. Schools that have uh, relationships between the teachers and students, if those relationships are really like
Hmm.
strong, I feel like there's more communication between those communities, and they do a lot better with like listening to the students and actually
Yeah.
developing programs that the students want. So I think that's a lesson schools can learn. And then we have Jacob Sanchez, who says, "Love Vex and love Fusion." I
Me
started off
too.
with that back in engineering class. So Jacob is a really cool cat. He is an applications engineer. He does a
Hmm.
lot of cool videos, and he actually started with Titans of CNC. So
Oh,
he was
cool.
like the I call him Titans prodigy, but
Hmm.
he kind of shies away from that. But anytime he and I are at trade shows, he's actually walking me around and teaching me about all the
Oh,
technology. So
awesome.
if we're attending the same trade show, I'm pretty much hanging out with him because he
Hmm.
knows a lot about the stuff. And then Vince wants to know, what do you know about cobots and the uses involved?
I have not learned about cobots, I don't think.
So there's an opportunity for you to get involved with. Vince, if you have any
Hmm.
other follow-up questions, be sure to ask those. So
Hmm.
when you started out, I want to get into more of these questions because I know you got to
Hmm.
go in a short time. When you first started out and your mom suggested this program, did you have any initial assumptions about engineering or this sector, and how have those perceptions sort of changed since you're getting more hands-on with some of these things that you're doing at CVCC?
Hmm. Initially, I kind of thought of engineering as like the only option was to work in a factory. When I first came to CVCC, or before I put in my application, I was really between the cybersecurity program and the engineering program because I really love coding and working with computers and computer science. My dad is the cybersecurity manager for the city, so I just kind of grew up around it.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but I specifically did not like cybersecurity. I like computer
Okay.
science and coding and building, but I don't want to learn about cybersecurity. I don't want to know how bad it is. Like I don't need that kind of negativity. So I chose engineering also because it was a lot more hands-on. Um, but over time I learned like through my teachers, Mr. Murphy and Miss Gale, just the different possibilities there are with engineering and the ways that it can be personal work and individual work and not just recreating a product over and over again. And just the idea of
Hmm.
innovation was
That's
really
really cool.
expanded on.
So I want to talk about Danny too, because he
Hmm.
is the one that introduced us, and he's
Hmm.
such a passionate guy. Like he really
Oh, yeah.
cares about his students, and he shares like really good content on LinkedIn about what
Hmm.
the students are doing in his class. So, how has he inspired you to continue the path that you're on right now? Because I feel like when I was going through college, even, I didn't, like I mentioned before, I didn't know what tech writing was. And I took one
Hmm.
class, and I feel like if my professor was a horrible professor, I would have been doing something else. But he really
Hmm.
inspired me to keep pursuing this pathway. So, how has Danny and other teachers that you've had inspired you to keep going on this course?
So Mr. Murphy just really put me into this position, I would say, with the connections that I have today. And it just, I feel like I had a chance, kind of, where in other places I didn't feel like I stuck out or like I fit in really. Stuck out in a good way or fit in a bad way. Um, or fit in, yeah, in a good way. But, and I feel like I just, like I had opportunities open up to me that if I just asked, I would have them. If it seemed as though I was willing to work for them and as though I was a hard worker, which hopefully it does. Hopefully
Yeah.
Mr. Murphy thinks I'm a hard worker, but I
I
just
mean,
felt like
you're
I
a high
had
school student
chances.
taking, yeah, you're a high school student taking college courses. So I think you have a pretty good work ethic because I don't,
Thank you.
not everybody can do that. So I
Hmm.
think, too, from what I've observed with him on some of the content that he's posting, he encourages all of you
Oh
to
yeah.
figure things out.
Hmm.
So by allowing you that space to like figure things out and not kind of micromanage the
Hmm.
students, that gives you an opportunity to use your critical thinking skills. And you guys are really doing some amazing things. Um, Vince is commenting again. He said, in discussing this with a tech at Pratt and Whitney, she explained the assists taking over jobs that are repetitive and regarded as a high risk injury occupation. That is true. There's a lot of
Hmm.
people worried that robots are taking our jobs, and I just
Oh
like,
gosh.
how do you feel about that? I want to hear your perspective on that because
Um,
you're part of Gen Z.
I am not particularly afraid of it because the more robots there are, the more jobs there are and people running the robots. Like, I love self checkout. I love it. I know that someday all the stores are going to be just self checkout. That is fine with me. But there are so many job opportunities in the world, and I feel like there aren't. I think AI sounds very scary to people, but there are so many people behind AI. Like AI
Hmm.
cannot off the bat write itself. There's someone who made that in the first place. And I feel like that
Correct.
takes away a lot of the fear for
Yeah,
me.
I agree. I agree with you. I think people are watching too many Terminator movies and
Mm-hmm.
thinking that they're gonna
Yeah.
like take over the world. But you made a good point. Like, there's gonna be more types of job opportunities
Mm-hmm.
with the continued growth of automation. So
Yeah.
I think that if you're not afraid of that, I think older people should like kind of tune
Yeah.
into that and
Uh-huh.
be okay with it. But again, it's an education thing too. We need to do a better job as a sector educating the community about what's available and why it's coming, and the
Mm-hmm.
opportunities that it presents. And we got some work to do in that area. So Danny said Hallie was awesome in Principles of Engineering.
Thank you. Phew.
And then we have and then we have Inger. Happy Friday. Thank you, Inger, for joining us. I really
Thank
appreciate you
you.
joining us. She's actually from South Africa. She lives in
Mm-hmm.
Canada and she has
Oh,
her own show.
cool.
She's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. So, Inger, if you
Cool.
ever want to talk to Hallie, make sure you reach out to her. And then,
Mm-hmm.
Marcy, we are hoping to have Hallie join us at the annual National Science Foundation Advanced Technological Education Principal Investigators Conference. That is a long title, Marcy.
I know.
This
I
long.
am super interested in that. I've been really pestering Miss Gale and Mr. Murphy about going to
That's
that.
awesome. So what is that? Can you explain what that conference is all about? Do you
I
know more
believe
about it?
I haven't gotten like a full description yet, but I think it's mainly a sharing of ideas amongst people interested in science and scientists.
Really cool.
I
Do you
don't have
know,
the, but I would love
Marcy,
to
if
go.
if you had she just put the acronym. Mercy, thank you so much.
Mhm.
She goes NSF 8 pi.
Ah,
How's that? I love it. That's awesome.
perfect.
Mercy, if you can drop a link to that as well,
Hmm.
depending on when it is, I would love to go. I'm actually supposed to go to Virginia in September to visit
Oh,
everybody. So
awesome.
hopefully you're there and we can meet in
Hmm.
person. That would be great.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to know, like, what are your plans after you graduate? Are you dead set on continuing to follow this path? Like, what are some of your
Mm-hmm.
aspirations and how far do you want to go?
So I'm planning or hoping to go to Virginia Tech for, I'm going to apply to physics, and I would like to dual major in physics and aerospace engineering. Their aerospace engineering program doubles, or it combines with their engineering program for sea exploration, which I would love to be a part of. So I would love to do that and then hopefully end up as a physics researcher or an aerospace engineer or
That's really
chemical
cool.
engineer
That's
or
really,
robotics.
you're like, you got the options. And,
Yeah,
if you try one out and don't like it, there's always room to go to the next one. So don't limit
yeah,
yourself on that.
right.
Sea exploration would be really interesting, but I would be like, there's so much we
I
don't
don't want to go
know.
down.
No, I
I
wouldn't
want to
want to go
build
down
what goes
either.
down and create the ideas that help something go down. I don't want to do it.
You're like,
I won't be
put a
down there.
camera. Yeah, I would be
Yeah,
scared to do that too. It's the same thing. I'm fine on ground on the earth.
me too.
I'm fine
Yeah,
walking around there. Well,
yeah.
Hallie, before I let you go, I have a couple more questions for you.
Hmm.
One, what are some of your tips or advice that you could give manufacturers to like be more proactive in getting more like individuals your age
Hmm.
learning about engineering and manufacturing? Because I think the point here that I'm trying to make is that, you know, as a sector, yes, we have this workforce problem that we're approaching, and
Hmm.
we're seeing it cause problems within how we're producing things and the supply chain and everything like that. But in order for us to populate the workforce, we have to get people excited about it. So how
Right.
do we do that for your generation? Like, what gets you excited?
So for me, I would really recommend manufacturers and engineers just making themselves more available emotionally, I guess, like not in a very deep way, but just approachable and willing to provide opportunities for those who seem like they will take it. Because that was the biggest thing for myself in Mr. Murphy's class is I just reached out and I was like, I want to do more. What more can I do? I want to excel at this as fast as I can and as much as I can. What can I
Yeah.
do? What can I do right now? And I was provided with opportunities for that. And I feel as though if I had more people I could reach out to about that, and if other children had teachers like that or people they knew like that, then they would feel a lot more open to becoming a manufacturer or engineer, or just someone in science or math. And I also think that a lot of times older people will write off new things about younger people as like bad or unprofessional, like hair dye or like baggy pants or like the music they listen to and something like that. And I just feel like that can be very dangerous in kind of outlawing employees for yourself.
Yeah. I still get comments on my tattoos sometimes, and I'm just
Really?
like, yeah, I still do.
Hmm.
It's kind of funny. I'm just like, I'll wear a long sleeve shirt. That's fine. Like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of weird. But no,
Hmm.
I think that's a good point to make, because things change and how we present ourselves changes as well too.
Hmm.
So we need to be mindful of that. But being
Right.
more emotionally open, I think, there's a buzzword going around called emotional intelligence, and I think
Hmm.
anyone that doesn't know what that means should definitely look it up and kind of
Oh yeah.
figure out how you can tie yourself with that. But having conversations and being more approachable, I think, is good tips there, because
Hmm.
a lot of kids don't even know they can go to manufacturers and ask for a tour, or they don't even
Hmm.
know what companies are manufacturing in their
Right.
community some of the time. What about trade shows? Have you gone to any trade shows? Because
I
that's one
have.
of the things I'm trying to push, is getting schools connected with trade shows, that so that they can see a variety of things in
Hmm.
one space, and then talk to leadership in those companies, and then hopefully get like internships or apprenticeships. Have you ever
Hmm.
been to one?
I have not, but I would love to go. I have to look up what's coming to my area, but I would love to go to one or a lot.
Well, maybe if it's not in your area, we can do something with sponsorship and have someone like pay for your trip.
Oh, that would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, Haley, it was really great talking to you. And
thank you.
I'm glad that we were able to get your perspective on things because, again, I don't think we're doing a very good job communicating with the next generation. And your opinions matter and what you value matters. And we can't really create job descriptions around some of these positions if we don't know, the characteristics and what's important to your generation. So thank you for sharing some of that. And I want to ask you, if you had one ask for our audience, what would your biggest ask be for them? Like, what would you want them to do? And if it's something personal, like follow your band because you're in a band, which I think is totally
follow
awesome.
my band. Follow Pyewacket. I'm in a rock band. We have our first show tomorrow.
That is awesome.
My serious ask would be to consider more people for positions that you wouldn't normally consider, but also follow my band. I play electric bass, and my guitarist is right next to me.
That's awesome. Hi, guitarist. I can't see your face.
She says hello. We're in a band called Pyewacket. It is an all-girls band.
That is awesome.
The creator of our band, I actually just joined due to a bassist loss to school. But was to really just introduce women into the music scene more because there was a big lack in our area.
That's really cool. Well, see, you're already trailblazing some stuff, so you're going to be a great leader and you're going to be fine. Well, Haley, again, thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad
thank you for having me.
And if there's anything that you need help with, be sure to reach out. You have a good support team already with Danny and Marcy. But when you're ready to look for a job or internship or apprenticeship, don't hesitate to reach out to myself. I have a pretty large network. I'm connected with Nikki Gonzalez and Alicia Gilpin and Courtney Fernandez of Automation Ladies, and they have a lot of connections as well too. And we're just trying to get as many people in as possible. So don't be afraid to. Oh, and then can we get a link to follow the band?
A link to follow. Of course, you can get a link to follow the band. I'll type the Instagram in the chat. And our link to our first song is in our Instagram bio. And
if you want to send that to me, I'll make a follow-up post too and direct it back. And then Larry said so many good engineers are musicians as well. They are.
I know, me and Danny both. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. Let me copy this real quick. And then you guys can follow her band. Make sure you support her in any way possible. I'm going to definitely do that. So there's that link. Hopefully it pops up. If not, let me know, and I'll redo it after we're done here. Well, Haley, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your time at work. And everybody joining in, thank you for your comments and your questions. Be sure to reach out to Haley. She is on LinkedIn. So if you have any opportunities or suggestions, or if you would just want to give her advice, feel free to do that on LinkedIn. Thanks, everyone. Happy 4th of July.
Very open to receiving messages. I am working 2 jobs right now as a lifeguard and my band, so my response time is a little slow, but I am very appreciative.
No worries about it. Everybody has a busy life, so I try to advocate for people to give grace when people don't respond right away because we all have lives and things come up. So no worries on that. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much. Bye.
This episode of Mavens has been sponsored by Fresh Horizons Group. Fresh Horizons Group is a family-run company that was founded on the premise of helping organizations and businesses better tell their story through high-quality branded apparel and promotional items. Freshen up your brand by contacting Fresh Horizons today at freshhorizonsgroup.com.